kilometers this side of the pond. That other life, the one he had fled from back in England, was no more than a fuzzy memory now.
"You hear that?"
Smythe asked softly.
"What? I don't hear nothing."
"Dismount." Smythe swung off his horse. As the other men gathered around, he pointed to Marston and a third man, a young Canadian named Wilbur Port. "You two come with me. The rest of you stay here." Taking his heavy buffalo rifle with him, Smythe started into the forest, moving silently in the peculiar rowing gait he'd adopted after losing the leg, his peg leaving neat, round tracks in the hard earth. They traveled several hundred yards in silence, Smythe musing that the very day that the Yankee shrapnel had plucked out half his sight, he'd been given twice the hearing, and there must have been some truth to that, for Smythe had ears keener than any other man he knew. Suddenly he stopped and dropped to his haunches, the two other men joining him.
"What you on to?"
"Listen." At first, Marston and Port heard only the muffled sounds of the forest around them. Then Port, having the younger ears, all at once lifted his eyebrows in surprise and said softly, "Voices. I hear them now. Sounds like engines."
"Got to be Flatheads," Marston observed. "They're the only ones in this neck of the woods."
Smythe motioned them along. The voices grew louder, and soon the words became clear.
"Flatheads, all right,"
Marston whispered as they bellied up to the top of a ridge and looked down at the two men busily dressing out a buck deer they had recently brought down. An arrow still protruded from its brown hide. Nearby, their horses were cropping the short grass.
"These two are from Calling Elk's band," Smythe noted.
"I've seen that one before." His thick English accent was in direct conflict with his rough dress of buckskin and wool. Port let go a sigh of relief and whispered, "At least they ain't hostile. Reckon we ought to be getting back to the others?" he asked, glancing at the one-eyed captain of the fur brigade. But Smythe had other thoughts. Below, the two braves had set aside their weapons, bows and arrows, and a London fusil that still looked brand new. It was one of many such guns provided to Calling Elk's people by the Hudson's Bay Company. A dozen beaver pelts bought one gun. But lately Smythe had been lowering the price for Calling Elk's band, and now almost every brave owned at least one of the company's trade guns. Smythe's single gray eye narrowed at Port.
"It would be unneighborly not to go down there and have a powwow with our Flathead friends, now wouldn't it?"
His lips compressed into a hard, thin line that hitched up on one corner. Port swallowed hard at the treachery that clearly laced Smythe's words. Marston grinned savagely.
"I'd say it would be downright unconscionable not to go down there and smoke a peace pipe with them blokes, Governor."
The three trappers started down. Below, the two Flathead warriors glanced up, startled by the sight of them. They reached for their weapons, then, upon recognizing Smythe, relaxed some and stood, waiting. "Smythe, it is you," one of the braves said when the trio drew up.
"Looks like you've had some good hunting,"
Smythe said, studying the half-butchered deer.
"You're with Calling Elk's band, ain't you? I don't believe I remember your name."
"I'm called Many Arrows."
"And I am Swiftwater Running,"
the other announced.
"I know you,"
Port said to the second Indian.
"We passed a bottle of whiskey with some of your friends in your camp last winter."
Swiftwater Running grinned and nodded his head, recalling the incident.
"You have whiskey now?"